Once again, it's P with PBNK with another video game review. This week is Vendetta for the arcade. Pretty much, it's another beat 'em up, and like you can pick as one of 4 characters, and pretty much it's kind of like Double Dragon. The reason why you're even fighting in the first place is to basically save a female friend. There's the black guy. He just beats people up and it's very interesting. And then there's the other white guy who's pretty cool because he's an ex-wrestler, and of course you get to do the people's elbow folks. That's always interesting. Like, who doesn't want to do the people's elbow? And then there's the other white guy, kind of like Texas Walker Ranger mixed with Boone. They call him Boone. It is what it is. And then there's the 4th one. He's like B.A. Baracus, just not black. And, well, that's funny too, because he just looks really, like, just bad. Like, you can believe he messes people up all day. Anyway, they are apparently a gang called the Cobras, and Katie, or Kate, pretty much has been kidnapped. That's why they're on pretty much this vigilante run of mayhem. Now, the game's pretty straightforward, you know, it's a beat 'em up. You get your special move, and you also, with this one, you get to kind of kick guys when you're down. You don't get to do that in all of them, and I think that's really cool. And also, too, they have some wacky things that happen with some of the weapons. Like, the bat, where you just hit people and knock them up against the wall or off into the background. Now, this game has some very interesting bosses. They're like 6 stages. The first boss is Buzzsaw. You know, the weirdo with the, basically the big cutter saw. And like, pretty much, stand the first boss, push over. Then like, but what I love is when Boomer just kind of gets up on him and just like kicks the crap out of him, because that's always fun, because he's got this like little swift foot kick. But oh my gosh, it like kills these dudes so quickly. But interesting thing is, this kind of reminds me a little bit of Bad Dudes, because you're on the back of a moving vehicle. And like, where in Bad Dudes, you're on the back of a semi, but you beat the boss up after the semi stops. But that's neither here nor there. That's an entirely different game. Not bad. But pretty much you play through the stages, and they're all pretty easy to get through. Lots of guys to beat up. Some of them will team you, so you can get beat up kind of seriously on this one. Like, some of the bosses are just like ridiculously cheap sometimes, but not unbeatable. For the most part, if you're just patient, you can probably beat most of them without actually losing anything. But pretty much this is one of my more favorite bosses, the Missing Link. Been like just this raw, gritty looking dude who just screams a lot. And he hurts you with his scream, which is funny. Not his butt drop so much, but his scream. And like, but also too, one of the things I noticed for playing as Blood, who happens to be the black guy, is as you play, you get to punch people in the nuts. And also too, when you fall down, you have this wonderful Tupac kick move. Watch the documentary if you don't know anything about that. Where if he hits the ground, he'll just kick you to death if you get close. And I mean, they have some very interesting characters on this, like the dominatrix. Because, you know, you see a 6-foot woman with a whip, you just think you have to go beat her up. That's just weird, but And then again too, if you see a guy with the trench coat, you kind of feel the need to beat him up too. But the guy with the trench coat drops bombs that burn, and is also somewhat clumsy, since he typically walks into the bombs he's dropping. Didn't say the AI was geniuses, folks, but it's a fun game. There's lots of things to play. I mean, you even have like some animals that run by, and apparently the bad guys are all afraid of black cats. I don't know what's with that, but it's something funny to watch. But they also have some other interesting characters, like Shotgun Dude, and that's because I have no better term of calling him, which you'll see in a little bit, because Shotgun Dude has a shotgun. And pretty much when you get the shotgun, if you hit someone with it, they flash and go away. You know. which is a good thing because that means you don't have to deal with them anymore. Said, but also too, you know, you still run into some of these cheap bosses. Like the third boss is actually he's two bosses, so they're like a couple of twins. One's really tiny and one's really, really big. And like in all honesty, the tiny guy ain't so bad, and the big guy's kind of a pushover too. But if you're really not paying attention and whatnot, they can really beat the crap out of you. And you know, you don't want that because you want to win. You don't want this game to swallow all of your quarters. But in the arcade, this is one of those where if you had 3 other friends, all of you could basically throw in some quarters and just play. You know, kind of like the Simpsons game. It's entertaining. It's fun. But it's more fun because it has such goofy elements in it. It's kind of like Streets of Rage with a sense of humor, in my opinion. Then like not quite so Final Fight like, but pretty much it's interesting and such, like the little kamikaze kill there that I still can't figure out how that was allowed, considering in most games when you kill the boss the underlings are usually dead too, but not in this one. So, oh, and there's Shotgun Dude. And yeah, that is a dog that ran at me. And like Shotgun Dude, very fun guy to beat up. And like he just reminds you of an 80s bad guy. You start beating him up, he cowers in fear. You get his weapon, he's terrified and will soon no longer be in the sequel. So that's also interesting. Also, other thing too is the way they play with the stages. Like if you knock a guy down and he falls off the edge of the pier, you can like punch his hands or do a people's elbow on his hands or kick his hands and make him fall off. And that's pretty interesting and such. And you know, every one of these games, when you win, your character has to have a kind of mini celebration to let you know that they are #1. And I like that. That's just a personal touch that I like. Didn't get that in Punisher, but in this one too, I see I missed a boss too, because there's a pink-clad man with a whip who is a boss in this, and it's just interesting and funny to see. But the main boss of this is a fellow called Fox, who I swear must be from the deep south somewhere, and apparently very rich because of how he talks, but he's kind of one of those, he's one of those goofy, cheap characters and stuff. But #1, he's the first one who apparently has the ability to block when you throw stuff at him. That sucks. Especially because the fiery burning cannons were doing me so much good with other bosses, or just other bad guys in general. But strange thing about this game is you see Katie by each boss, but yet that's not Katie, or either she's kidnapped just before each time. Kind of wondered about that, but you know, no specific comment. Said it just has to be cool, doesn't have to necessarily make sense. But anyway, you beat Faust, and just like any other like really, really good end boss, when you almost beat him, he switches tactics. And this guy does not disappoint. As a matter of fact, he pulls out his gat and starts to blast on you. Rat-tat-tat-tat on you, to be exact. And why on earth a boss would have a machine gun and still be losing is beyond me. But yeah, I did have to use the invincibility to walk over there so I could beat him down, so he wouldn't just keep shooting me to death. Up there he goes. Yeah, as you see, he just goes across the screen with his gat. Yeah, it's just spraying everyone down. You know, street sweeping, so to speak. Said, and on top of that, it's funny because he also has a roll. So, you know, he has a lot of moves that you get as a character later in games like Splinter Cell or Siphon Filter and Metal Gear Solid, and they're good moves, but it's just kind of like, oh, why can they do that but I can't? Because you can't even dash on this thing, but apparently they can. If anybody knows how to dash on it, let me know and such. But interesting thing about this game too is the 6th stage isn't actually a level that you per se go through like the other ones. What they basically do is they get all the bosses together, kind of like they do in X-Men, and you have to fight your way through them, 2 at a time basically. But basically it's just kind of one of those things where it's like to recycle to make the game a little bit longer and whatnot, because it's one of those things where it's just kind of like, oh, you think the game's over, huh? Bonus stage. And you know, I'm kind of like, that's not really a bonus stage, but you know, it's nice to have, because you know, a bonus stage suggests that you have no chance of winning, in my opinion. So pretty much I have this playthrough online already. It's up before I actually do the review.